Good day everyone, this is Christine Araneta, and for today, I'll be discussing about purification of enzymes and proteins. This chapter includes the following topics. First, extracting of pure proteins from cells. Second, column chromatography. Third, electrophoresis. And the last one is determining the primary sources of a protein. Proteins have several roles in the body. It helps repair and build your body's tissues, allows metabolic reactions to take place, and coordinates bodily functions. Protein purification is a series of processes intended to isolate one or a few proteins from a complex mixture. The purification process may separate the protein and non-protein parts of the mixture and finally separate the desired protein from all other proteins. So first, we have the extracting pure proteins from cells. Many techniques are performed to eliminate contaminants and to arrive at a pure sample of the protein of interest. The first step is called homogenization, which involves breaking open the cells. Homogenization can be done with a variety of techniques. The simplest approach is grinding the tissues in a blender with a suitable buffer. We all know that buffer is something added to resist the change. Table 1 shows the example of a protein purification scheme, purification of the enzyme xanthine dehydrogenase from a fungus. A gentler technique is to use a Potter-Elfgem homogenizer, which is a thick-walled test tube through which tight-fitting plunger is passed. After the cells are homogenized, they are subjected to differential centrifugation. Differential centrifugation is used to separate organelles and other subcellular particles based on their sedimentation rate. Salting out procedure uses ammonium sulfate as the most common reagent. The second one is the column chromatography. The word chromatography comes from the Greek word chroma, which means color, and graphene, which means to write. This technique was first used around the beginning of the 20th century to separate the plant pigments with easily visible colors. Chromatography has two phases. One phase is the stationary phase and the other is the mobile phase. The mobile phase flows over the stationary material and carries the sample to be separated along with it. The components of the sample interact with the stationary phase to different extents. The differing movabilities of the components are the basis of the separation. Column chromatography are chromatographic techniques used for research on proteins in which the material that makes up the stationary phase is packed in column. So what are the different types of chromatography? First, the size exclusion chromatography or the gel filtration chromatography. It separates the molecules on the basis of size, making it useful way to sort proteins of varied molecular weights. It includes two polymers, the carbohydrate polymer and polyacrylamide. The second one is the affinity chromatography. Molecules are bound to the column via specific interactions for a bound ligand. Once non-binding proteins are removed, the protein of interest can be diluted. The distinguishing feature of affinity chromatography is that the polymer is covalently linked to some compound called a ligand. In a protein-ligand binding, the ligand is usually a molecule which produces a signal by binding to site on a target protein. Flashed on the screen is the figure showing the principle of affinity chromatography. The third type is the ion exchange chromatography. Ion exchange chromatography is logistically similar to affinity chromatography because both use a column resin that binds protein of interest. So molecules with a specific charge are selectively bound to a column separated from proteins that don't bind and then eluted. An ion exchange resin has a ligand with a positive charge or a negative charge. The negatively charged resin is a cation exchanger, while the positively charged resin is an anion exchanger. Figure 2 shows the ion exchange chromatography using a cation exchanger. So the next one is the electrophoresis. Electrophoresis separates molecules based on a gel medium by passing electrical current through the gel. Proteins are separated on the gel based on their size, shape, and charge. Figure 3 shows the two-dimensional electrophoresis. What is the difference between agarose gels and polyacrylamide gels? The agarose-based gels are most often used to separate nucleic acids, though sometimes it is used in protein purification. In SOS polyacrylamide gel electrophoresis, the acrylamide offers more resistance to large molecules than to small molecules. Proteins can also be separated on acrylamide without the SDS, in which case the gel is called a native gel. Isoelectric focusing is another variation of gel electrophoresis wherein the gel is prepared with a pH gradient that parallels the electric field gradient. Because different proteins have different titratable groups, they also have different isoelectric points. The last one is determining the primary structure of a protein. The amino acid sequence of a protein can be determined using a multi-step. First, the protein is hydrolyzed into its constituent amino acids and the composition determined. Separation and identification of the products are somewhat more difficult and are best done by an amino acid analyzer. Amino acid analyzer separates the mixture of amino acids either by ion exchange chromatography or by high-performance liquid chromatography or HPLC. The protein is cleaved into small fragments, and these fragments are then sequenced by the Edman degradation. Edman degradation, developed by Pierre Edman, is a method of sequencing amino acids in peptide. So there are enzymes that cleaves peptide bonds, the trypsin and the chymotrypsin. Enzyme trypsin cleaves peptide bonds preferably at amino acids that have positively charged R groups such as lysine and arginine. Another enzyme, chymotrypsin, cleaves peptide bonds preferentially at the aromatic amino acids like tyrosine, tryptophan, and phenylalanine. By using overlapping fragments and sequencing determined, the sequence of the original protein can be deduced. That would be all, and I hope you learned something.